Hello and welcome to round two. Two? Pretty sure it's round two. We'll hope it's round two. If it isn't round two, I'm gonna get a slap on the wrist, but it's round two of season 5, I think I remember seeing. Here in tier 1, I've got the pleasure of being the man sat behind the microphone who gets to watch these lads fly around Belgium at 200 mile an hour for 2 hours in my evening. Absolute pleasure. Tuesday evening, not had much going on. We're going to see some cars go around the track. Now, as I'm a man who will do research, I'm going to get up the championship standings for this season and see who were the top guys and who were the bottom guys in the first round. Now, I didn't watch the first round, unfortunately, so I won't know who won, who maybe could have won and who didn't. I'm sure I'll be corrected by many people on anything I do say. Unfortunately, I wasn't there. Negotiating the Discord server while on board with this McLaren isn't the greatest things, but how's everyone doing? Overall, alright. This McLaren looks very nice going around the most understeery corner on the calendar. I don't think there's another one. There's quite a few with these cars, but I don't think there's another one as bad as that one. We've got a few decently big names in this lobby, so we could be looking at quite a feisty race. I am going to stop having the sound go into my ears through my headphones and just have it through my TV. I think that's a lot better for my own sanity, because it's not the right time. How's everyone now? Oh, we're all good. Hope you're all in the comment section calling me like names and stuff, threatening me with death. That'd be quite nice. That'd get me going for this race. Everyone's on laps. Let's get you some information so you know what's going on my screen. Let's turn the TV down because my ears are not ready. I'm going to call this dude attack because I don't have the mental capacity to try and figure out what that says if it isn't. He set a 1 minute 44.345. That could be a decent lap. It could not be a decent lap. We'll see. No one's beating it for now. There's Pac-Man. That's a name and a half. He goes second place within 3,000ths of a second. Apparently it's not a quick lap. 3/10 faster. Fred Parsons. What? That is legendary. Was first. Just the name. It just works. Well, everyone's very close here, but no one yet to break the 43. 5 cars have set a lap, and we're going to see another Haas come across the line, and he's going to go ahead of his teammate Echo. It's Echo. I know, yeah, because Echo. See, I am a man of vocabulary. HRL Echo goes second place, and we've got quite a feisty fight on our hands there. 2-3 drivers within a tenth of each other. That will be very close to seeing the race, especially with the 2 Haas's. They're going to be close to each other. They'll be fighting quite hard. We're going to see the driver standings now. So the winner last time out, they're using the same format I do, was Logic. And looking at the order here, that man isn't racing. So it's all up for grabs here, as you see. I'm just going to say airlines, because I like airlines. They're quite cool, aren't they? They fly. I can't fly. Clearly he can on a 43. He's the first guy to break the 1 minute 43s. Not much else going on. I've not seen any yellow flags of yet, although there is a car round after the first corner. Unsure if that's anything that we should care about. Not anymore anyway. So I hope I've not missed too much. We're going to look. There's a McLaren round somewhere. It is monumental. An absolutely monumental spin for Monumental 9781. He's going to get himself back on track, and on the other end of the track, Pac-Man's having some issues of his own, trying to get past some people. Some of these yellow flags are going to be cars trying to get out of the way, and it's just going to make me look kind of an idiot looking around to drastically all out. So nice. And I'm polite, there we go, we'll get the chat up. The people, the people, so many people. Let's not get a copyright strike. A lot of cars coming into the pits. We've had our first lot of laps now. I'm assuming that all these guys who haven't set laps, there's I can't see because my Twitch thing's in the way. I think there's 8 people remaining not to set laps. As we see XR Rambo, big name, best name in the business. He's representing as well. I am not as quick as XR Rambo anymore. I am the imposter now. Feels weird. But I'm happy to be in the commentary because I like having a heart, and my RPMs are not ready to go that high yet. But we move swiftly onwards. Our 5/10 gap between P1 and P2 is sad to see, but Hopefully it'll close up eventually. We've got a 2-minute lap time that's come in from a Mercedes, who is now in a barrier. That's not what you want. That, I tell you, is not what you want when you're behind a Formula 1 car. Just my personal experience there, being in great use to tell you that that Mercedes was facing the wrong way. And it codded Ghost Junior. So that means ghosts, plural, so there's multiple, and that also means... What? And Junior. Mate, there's a lot of them. They're all duplicating. It's the way that ghosted cods... No, codded ghosts work. Ghosted cod, that's even worse. We're going to look through now. P4 and Alpha Tauri sneaking up into P4. I mean, I could say that about the Alpine and the Aston Martin if we weren't in equal car performance. Let's imagine it's 2023. This could actually happen. No, actually, the Red Bulls aren't in first, they're in last. Panda Junior. Why is everyone stealing? This lobby's just thieving everything that I call my own. Rambo, right? That's my name, and that's taken with P1. And Junior, because I'm actually a junior. My dad has to say that, but then people are taking it. My identity's been stolen by this league, and I'm happy by it because I won't do a very good job with it. Honestly. I mean, I got in a commentary booth for the league, so clearly I'm doing something. There's nothing going on this circuit. Cars have been validated. If you want an onboard lap, let's do an onboard lap. I've not done one of those in a while. We're going to get right into it. Is he on a lap? No, that's an out lap. This is an actual lap, but that'll be absolutely awful. Fred's not doing anything interesting. You're not doing anything interesting. That's a 2-minute lap time. You know what I mean? Nothing going on. Here's a lap time to think, no, invalidated. What is going on? Come on, lads, let's get some effort in. Alright, we're feeling good. Feeling energy here in Belgium, but no one else is feeling any energy. And Williams has finally found that bit of energy going down this back straight. 2-lap old tyres. We'll see what they can do at 30.2 into the first sector. Beautiful one onto the left curb. You want to leave yourself some room into the right. Try and get it flat out. Only half throttle for the Williams. I think in these cars it's more sensible to let off the throttle down into this right-hander. Braking while turning here is very, very difficult. I think ABS might be on that car. I don't know if this is a no-assist lobby, unfortunately. But still a beautiful run through there, up the gears into maybe 8th gear is going to, just 8th gear, down to 7th, flat out as much as possible, use all the curb on the outside, stretch the car out right to the right hand side. Now, this, one of my favourite 2 corners on the calendar for some reason, a beautiful right-hander that leads you into the left. Some people like to take the curb, some people feel more uncomfortable with the grip you get. Same with this corner as well, use all the curb on the exit, flat out through the right hand side if you can manage it. Sometimes you might end up in that outside barrier that jerks out slightly, flat out now down Blanchimont. Not going to let off now until the final chicane, which is a very technical corner in itself. We'll throw away a whole lap here, and we could see a lot of guys do that right at the end when they are on the edge. Breaking down 100 metre board, 3rd gear for the Williams driver. Once again, do not have the energy to try and pronounce those names. I'm surprised I have the energy to do a whole commentary. That's a 13th place for the Williams man. 1 minute 45. This league is juicy enough for me to be bothered to do. I've not been bothered to do many, but Pac-Man has made me really eager to commentate on a cracking race that we're all going to get to witness. Going to be absolutely amazing. A pleasure to be here. I don't know if I'm going to be joined by anyone. I think someone said that I don't want to ignore that person, because that'd be tragic, wouldn't it? Now everyone would be upset, but it looks like they've ignored me, so we'll move on with the stream without them. They're probably not ignored, they're probably well occupied, and I hope that whatever they're up to is fine. We've had a new lap time. Fred Parsons having none of it. He goes up to P2, but still no one able to break. Remember, it's lap time to close the gap. Everyone is now within at least a 10th. Well, no, Fred's within a 10th in a beautiful Aston Martin. Judging cameras like it's not going to be a feature in next year's game, even though it probably is. Actually, no, we could. It probably won't be. Jake is doing well, but the Aston Martins seem to be the strongest team today. Ferrari only has one car up there in Rambo. Jake not quite able to match Rambo at this time, but Wolfhawk, two very different animals, are going to be in P4. No, P3, I can't read. But we're going to be further down the list, aren't we? We're going to look at some other drivers. We're going to look at an onboard of GRL Echo. No, we're not. It's 5 seconds on his lap time. That'd be a waste of our time. That man was validated. Got to see who's going to challenge Rambo. We've got guys getting close, but who's going to beat that? We've got to look at guys who maybe not set laps. One of these guys is this Red Bull here on controller. I could already tell through that first corner. I don't know if he'll be the man. I don't know if Joe 7, very simple name, Joe, and he's probably 7 years old, I'd assume. I don't understand the relevance of the number 7, unless he likes Ronaldo. But that'd be a pretty bad name for a Ronaldo fan, Joe 7. If that is the case, I'm sorry, Joe, but you've got a boring ass name. I'm just saying that. Hopefully you're quick enough to put me to shame. Most of the time that's the case. So, it's all good. Let's see some laps. There's some cars coming out the first corner now, so we'll see. Oh my god, why did I not notice that this man was on a lap? Out of all the men on this track, XR Rambo once again nearly spins out the first corner, but keeps his dignity and sets a 1 minute 42.9. I think the lap time lets him get away with a bit of oversteer on the exit. Maybe it was in celebration, the burnout that he did there, but he looks to be the man ahead of the whole field. Stretches that nearly to half a second again. Big gains for such a big lap originally. There's an Alpine off at the end of this. Oh, and it's Joe. He hasn't been impressed by my jokes previously, and at the school there. And I'm sorry, Joe, but you're a great guy, and I'm sure you'll do well in this race eventually. This is going to be a long race, 44 laps around. I think it's the longest. It's the longest track on the calendar. Singapore is the longest race because they put a godly amount of laps on for no reason, even though they could just do the same as Belgium, and we'd all be happy without falling asleep. That's Formula 1, not logical. You don't use the brain, it's just for money. Singapore needs to bring in the money, or they're not going to be on the calendar, like every other racetrack. Apparently they're resurfacing Nürburgring. Don't know where that money has come from. Probably a wizard somewhere. With a little hat. There's an Alfa Romeo. Speaking of wizardry, God knows how that brand ended up on the grid at this point, but they're in a wall in this league. Unfortunate for him. Probably on a good lap. Seems to, yeah, looking at the time, it seems to have been a very good lap on the board. Let's see, the next car that's going to come across the line will be Joe. Joe's not really on a competitive lap time, so we're going to start actually focusing now, looking at other drivers. The next car will be a Mercedes, but I think once again outlap Red Bull. And this looks to be a competitive lap from Times, whether Times or Timmers. And either of those could be a very, very, very wrong name on the other half, so could be in deep trouble if I pronounce this wrong. Clip me all you want, it's Timez, because that's funnier. So Timez, apparently he's gone purple. I don't believe that for a second, but we'll see. Timez, prove me wrong. He's coming down the back straight here, coming into Blanchimont. He could be rather faster than P10 or faster than P1. Will Rambo be able to defend his first place pole position coming into the race in about 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 minute. This is the first lap time we're going to see. It's going to be a 1 minute 43. It was to, it might even be a 44. It was to P10. It's a purple to P10 and it's P10 for Timez. He's going to hate me after this race because it ain't Timez, it's Times, but I'm a genius. Next car to cross the line is going to be an Aston Martin. This could be very important. No, Fred going on to a lap. We're right on board with Fred. This could be a very important lap time. The one man who's been challenging XR Rambo all weekend. It's Tuesday evening, but we'll stick with it all weekend. Looking for the race tomorrow, which is in 5 minutes. Up Rouge and then Radion actually onto the pit straight. Onto the pit straight. I have lost my sense of direction. It's at Lecom. I think I know my names of the corner names. Into now the right-hander after the come. Beautiful run there, using all the curb on the left-hand side. We're going to ride on board into the right-hand hairpin. Right down into third gear. Little bit of throttle. Second gear just to try and get the car turned. Up to fifth. Back down. Off the throttle. Right up to seventh, maybe eighth gear as we see Joe retiring. Alfa Romeo off, maybe getting out of the way. Seventh gear, as we see on the right hand side, Haas is off the track. Their qualifying will be over for this stage. Coming into the right hander, braking at the 50-metre board, down to fifth gear. Back on the throttle, once again, not quite using the curb on the inside. Beautiful run to the outside, not invalidating. Down to fourth gear, not quite in fifth gear as I like to run through there. Up the gears once again at 1/10 up. That's not going to be enough to get pole position. But will there be time to gain in this final sector? Maybe in the final chicane. There's not really going to be much time to gain on the final sequence, especially when there's a Red Bull to your right hand side and a Mercedes on the racing line coming into the final chicane, the push stop chicane, braking at 100-metre board, wing on the inside, Mercedes on the outside. Will the Aston Martin be able to do anything about the pole time that XR Rambo's put in? No, he won't. 1 minute 43.1 cannot break the 42s, and that is it. Will his teammate be able to do anything else? No, he won't. He'll be spun on the apex of no name. This is not what the rivals of Rambo would have wanted. Rambo is probably in a dream world right now. The only man who seems to have a possibility of beating Rambo is over a second behind, but he's invalidated. So has Jake. Pac-Man's in the pits. Tim is in the pits. The Alpha Tauri is not on a lap either, and I think over the Codded Ghost is 17 seconds up on his time is on a lap. Could Codded Ghost Jr. prove everyone wrong? Maybe even get pole position. He could be on for it here. He's on a very good lap. He's a 1 minute 30s for now. Will he be able to get the drive out the final corner? Fifth gear. Will he be able to prove everything wrong and get pole position? And he's done it! Oh my god! Codded Ghost Jr. out of nowhere with no lap on the board. Well, a very slow lap on the board and over 2 minute lap time has come out of nowhere and put XR Rambo to bed. He takes pole position for round 2 of HRL. I don't know where that came from. I don't think Rambo will know where that came from. I don't think Fred will know where that came from. And he's the only man along with XR Rambo to make it to the 1 minute 42s. That's qualifying. As long as everyone else can get back to the pits soon enough for me not to gain wrinkles on my young 16-year-old body. But I've already got a beard. I age quite quickly. So I'm sure, yeah. Just had the phone call. I'm going to be a pacemaker. So apparently there's some animosity in the comments because someone thinks they should have a Williams seat. Let's have a look at the winners. 13th and 16th. Not a good showing now. Not a good showing. But when you're in a field with people like Codded Ghost Jr., the GOAT himself, I mean, what can you say? You know, of course you're going to get dropped. I wouldn't be raced in this field, I'll tell you that much. And if I do, I'd be at the back. Just like those Williams. That is our grid for the race. In 3 seconds, I'll walk through the grid one by one once we're loading into the lobby to give us something to do. I don't know if there's formation lap on, because to be honest, I don't know if it works myself. It's been too long, so we'll see. It'll be a nice surprise for us. I'm sure someone will put it in the comment section or someone will message me on Discord telling me, but I'd like the surprise. So don't. Oh, speaking of surprise, shock horror, it's bloody raining. It's raining in Belgium in the Ardennes forest. Formerly known for being absolutely brittle. I don't know how to say that word. Obliterated. The Ardennes forest now holds no racing because it always rains and it gets called off. But we will have red flags in this game, so we can race in the rain. So stuff you, FIA. I'm better than you. Can we start the race? Someone's readied up early, I reckon. There, I think someone's got a quali ban, unless that's not a rule in this league. They should have admins get onto that. They should be beaten in a dark room. I'm joking. Respect. He's a good man. He slipped and he pressed the A button by accident. Can we go? I'll walk you all through the grid as the lights don't go out. We've got formation lap. Get in. First is Cody Ghosts Jr. He came out of qualifying, shocking everyone. He didn't really set a competitive lap time until the final seconds. He was the last car to cross the line with a competitive lap time. And did he get pole? Of course he did. Ahead of HRL Rambo, our second car in the Ferrari. He's been having good pace. He was half a second faster than anyone every single time he went out the pits. However, that was chopped down by Fred. And Coded Ghosts, Fred looking strong, maybe better on race pace than one lap pace. You can only hope that he can challenge the two cars ahead, because they seem very strong, maybe a backup car. Only team with two cars in the top 5. Aston Martin looks strong. Wolfhawk thinks that he can maybe challenge his compatriot in the Aston Martin, compatriot in the meaning of teammates, but it may not be the case, as Fred has already gone off the circuit from what I can see. The Alpine of Airlines, red is not seen on the Alpine car. I was trying to say the colour blue, but my brain died because I saw the red on the French flag. The blue Alpine will be hoping to have a good race. It's a wet race, intermediates all the way to lap 11 or 17, I'm assuming early on in lap 11 to 17, so maybe lap 12 or 13 swapping over then to the end of the race, as we see the Mercedes up ahead in pole, warming up their tyres. Echo is next with attack, both in Hasses, both challenging with whatever that game attack is in PA. I'm sorry, man, but I do not have the time for snack. So we'll move on to Jake in the Ferrari P9. Looked pretty strong in qualifying for me on board that I was watching, but and he challenged further up when he's got a man like Pac-Man behind. Apparently so, as Pac-Man cannot get out of that final bit of corners before Blanchimon behind him. I think that's Timez. It is Timez in the Red Bull. He'll be hoping to represent Perez, but Timez in this race, and just finish the race, man. Don't crash like you just have then. Alpha Tauri coming through, straight past. Cannot see the name because of my Twitch thing, but he'll be starting in P12. Not pronouncing that in P13, but Williams do look quite weak, as said in the chat previously. Monumental in the McLaren P14. Look, I know I'm probably going to get this wrong. I know you're in the comment section. Luzgo? I don't know. I feel like the V is going to be silent because the L's capital. But it could not be, and I could be butchering it completely. I'm going to go with just the Merc, because Coded Ghosts is pretty plain and simple. Panda nearly spins at the back. Joe will be ahead of him. Monkey C08, that's a good name. Tom will be behind the Merc. Monumental ahead. We look now at the whole field, ready for the lights to go out. Here we go. 3, 4, 5 red lights for the Belgian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go. The Ferrari gets a half decent start. The Aston Martin struggle behind the man with the best start. In the top 5 is the Alpine. Will there be collisions behind? Anyone's going to go into the back of anyone? We're not seeing anything. There's a Haas off. Just before the first corner, we're running through the field. The Mercedes of Cosmic Ghost is trying to defend from Rambo. Jake trying to make some moves on the Aston Martin. Fred Parsons not had the best of starts. He's going to be kicking himself after starting P3, falling all the way to P6. Jake gets that on the outside. Rambo now challenging towards Cody Ghosts up into turn 5. Turn 5 as we see the Haas going up the inside of the Ferrari. Echo just not able to make a move. Airlines try his best to find a way past Wolfhawk. He's had a perfect start. Already looking at the Ferrari of Rambo. Rambo's wondering where this big advantage he had has gone, as we see the Haas and the AlphaTauri having a battle. Monumental is out of the race. That is a huge crash. I think we've also seen a Mercedes involved. Yes, Mercedes is involved. Is the other Haas involved? There's more contact up ahead from what I saw. We're going to try and look at some front wings. That was chaos. That was a chaotic start. That is not what we really want to see, but what can you expect when they're in the rain? Not much moving up at the top. Midfield, quite a lot. But a lot of guys getting away without much damage. The only man who we see out the race is Monumental. and everyone else seems to have gotten away quite cleanly. The Mercedes doesn't seem to have any major damage, maybe some light damage on that front right end plate, not much more that I can see. A drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtuous safety car. Pac-Man is now off the track with that virtuous safety car, and I'm assuming has left the lobby in frustration or retired. One or the other, as we see Haas making contact with the Alfa Romeo. That's allowed the Mercedes to try and make a move on the outside of attack. Will he be able to make the move work? There's an Alpine in the way. 200 miles an hour, 4 cars battling side by side. The Alpine's still there. The Alpine turned. The Haas is turned as well into the wall. That's going to be front wing damage for the Haas. Joe, mainly at fault there, should have backed out, I reckon, from that move. Shouldn't have kept his nose there, caused a massive accident. Carded Ghost still leads. If you see some cars coming into the pit lane, I'm assuming those cars who have got damage onto themselves through the first few corners. Maurice, is it Maurice? It is Maurice in with Temez, Pac-Man, Joe, and Attack as well. So that's our bottom 5. I think that is all into the pit lane. But everyone else seems to be alright. As we see an Alpha Tauri is round at the top of Radion. I'm assuming that was due to some contact or maybe just losing the back end in the rain. But we're going to look to the front. We're going to look at these cars who are battling right at the front. Those are the ones that matter in the title battle. And we see Carded Ghosts leading the way right now. Very consistent. Monumental has left the session. Rambo putting some pressure on. Carded Ghosts doesn't seem as comfortable and competitive in the rain. It took some time for them to get the car together in qualifying. Will that issue be the same in the race? Are they as consistent as they are quick, as we see once again? Joe having a little mishap there. Radion gets himself going again. I think that was a reset to track. That's banned again in this league. Not quite up to date on the rules, don't need to be, because I don't need to race. I don't need to be safe. I just know a lot about Formula 1, so I'm going to go by that. That's why I think that people should just go by the F1 rules and have reset to track banned, because it doesn't exist. It's not real racing. Carded Ghost thinks that he knows how to race properly, and he's in the lead right now. Looking back upon the rest of the field at 200 miles an hour is quite terrifying. It's like getting chased by a bunch of lions. Speaking of lions, there's some hungry lions, Alpha Blood lions, going to turn in on the Alfa Romeo, the Aston Martin. I'll get it right, Aston Martin there, and he does. He closes the door, had to be right to on Fred, and Ghost sets the fastest lap. Jake will go, thank you very much, I'll take that position from you. And he will move up into P5, not the start that Fred wanted. Fred should hopefully try and get his way back past the Ferrari. Panda making a beautiful start, a comeback worthy of a Red Bull driver, just like Max Verstappen did in 2022. He makes his way up the field slowly but surely into P9 now from last position. Really good start from the Red Bull driver, especially when our safety cars moving further up the field. Gaps seem to spread out more now as we get drier and drier. I'm unsure of the weather report, unsure of how dry it's going to get. It seems to be getting a little bit lighter rain, a bit brighter in the sky, but we'll see shortly how this race will go. 3 laps in, very long race, going in for a long one. No battling whatsoever. Haas back in the pit lane. Unsure if it's for wing purposes, drive-through penalty purposes, I think that was. That will now be cleared. Everyone's got those out of the way. And that's why Pac-Man also picked earlier on. But now a second has been gained by the Mercedes. He'll be leading the way. He'll be the man on top for this current section of the race. And we've got a little bit of movement earlier down the grid. We've got a Mercedes battling with the Aston Martin. We've seen the McLaren of Pac-Man having some issues. But this should be the only bit of battling we're going to see. I think the move's already been done. I think the Mercedes is the man with maybe some damage. Didn't seem quite up to speed through that corner. But maybe that was just me. I'm trying to look at the front wing. No, it seems alright. Might be wrong though. As once again, it's definitely getting drier. As rather getting drier, or these guys at the front are getting a lot more comfortable, because slowly but surely these lap times slowly fumble downwards. Panda now proving that he has the pace of these top runners. he closes the gap down more and more and more and more. He'll be pushing now to try and pass the Williams down this back straight. I'm putting myself on some Kohler. I don't care about Panda's extravagant moves. As there we go, up to Radion. I'm multitasking here. Not done this before in my life. To the outside. Beautiful move from Panda. Let me change the camera angle. Look at how good I'm doing. Round, my mother will be proud of this multitasking. Around the outside. Beautiful move. Gets it. Oh no, there's paper in my Kohler. That is disappointing. Oh no. How do you get in my cup? I'm blind. That's disappointing. I poured a lot of Kohler in that cup without realising because it was commentating. I have to drink from the bottle. This is dangerous territory. Give me that. Rambo's binned it! Rambo's binned it! I was drinking Kohler. Rambo has binned it. He's lost it and poo on. I spotted that pretty quickly. Oh, I had Kohler in my mouth. I should have shouted it earlier. Rambo in his orange helmet, he's spun. He has not made the best of his opportunities. Unsure if there was contact in there, if he was trying to go for a move. If he was, it's poo on. It's pretty much deserved if you go off when trying to make a move there. But I'm pretty sure that was just a mistake in these conditions, which is easy to make. And fair enough, and that's going to be really difficult for Rambo to swallow, but him and Fred will both be looking to get redemption for the start of this race. But that leaves Wolfhawk with an open track towards Coddy Ghost. Will Coddy Ghost be able to extend his lead, or will that shrink? Looks to be shrinking between these two now, as we can clearly see that Wolfhawk's quicker. Will Panda have anything to say about that last time from the Aston Martin? He will not. 2/10 quicker than his own lap, but not quicker than the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin will clearly be hoping to challenge the Mercedes. They're on similar ERS, so it should be a very cracking battle for those two. Shortly, another cracking battle. We're looking at a lot of cars here, are we? No, just the two. Aston Martin's falling a bit behind as he's in more battling further back. Tim House gets past the Alfa Romeo, who's now pulling behind the Alfa Tauri. Will this be a tactical swap from the Alfa Romeo to try and get back past at the top of the hill? Penalty, not good for the Alfa Romeo, but a lot of ERS sits in their favour, 20% extra. Will the Alfa Tauri be able to make any defence for P15? The Alfa Romeo moves to the inside, and will it be an easy move? Backs out a bit, choosing not to take the move. The Alfa Tauri still leaves a bit of space in anticipation, but nothing will be done there unless the Alfa Tauri runs wide. The Alfa Romeo is going to try it down into the hairpin. Right-hander got it done before the turning braking point, whatever point you like, it was done before that. And that moves them up into 15 points. This was up further towards the front, very wide for the Mercedes out there. Probably not going to get a warning. A little bit wide for the Aston Martin, probably going to get a warning. Usually how the game works. So the Aston Martin looks very close to the Mercedes now. Two Mercedes powered cars, two cars that could be close in real life at the start of the next season. So will they be close here? How close are they going to get? Are they going to get wheel to wheel? We're going to see coming into the next straight. The Aston Martin does seem to be quicker in a straight line. Whether that's setup related, maybe the Mercedes isn't quite set up for the rain. Could be a chance that the Aston Martin is most set up for the wet weather conditions, which would explain qualifying quite a lot. Maybe explain the pace that Rambo, Fred had. Maybe even Coddy Ghost over the likes of airlines like Jake and like Wolfhawk, who perhaps are just as quick. You see once again Pac-Man having difficulties in the very treacherous conditions. Quarter of the way through this race now. Well, over quarter. So, quite close. Going to be seeing if the Aston Martin can make a challenge on the Merc. The Merc seems to have had a very slow run through Le Combe. Will the Aston Martin be able to make a challenge further on in this lap? It seems to be that it's every few laps, a little bit comes off this lap time. It's closed down right to below a second, but I feel the track just isn't allowing cars to catch up because of no DRS. But the track seems to be drying out. It seems to me like the rain has lightened up, the skies are brightening, and we could be on for some dry tyres in the next few laps. And hopefully we do, because the mediums can probably last about that. And I think we can see some good racing on some tyres with some DRS. See who's got the actual best car, and maybe the guys who have put a wet set up on will be kicking themselves. Will be hurt because they won't be able to push as hard. See Wolfhawk trying to get that car out of that corner, trying to slip in the slipstream of the Mercedes ahead, doing quite a good job, just not gaining the time he needs. Why is he shifting down there? That's flat out in heavy rain conditions if you've got that. DRS enabled, and into the pits comes the Aston Martin. That is a splitting strategy that could decide this race. Will the Aston Martin bring it in on his own? No, he will have the Alpine, everyone is coming in other than Codded Ghost Jr., the man who's been on pole. He's like every single lap of this race. He's the only man who stayed out on the intermediates for another lap. Could that be a mistake? Legitimately nobody else has stayed out on the intermediates. Some people have already pit. Pac-Man and Attack were already in last lap. Here comes Maurice. Will every single car on the intermediates come into the pits? We're going to see that Mercedes may be... Oh, big crash. That could decide this whole race. Carries on. No wheel. That should have... Oh my God. Cardi Ghosts have got out of a... Oh, they've got out of a big mess. I tell you that. That could have been... No, not a big mess. A big saviour. They would be gutted if Joe there would have lost a wheel. Cardi Ghosts would have got a safety car and been able to pit perfectly to get ahead of the Aston Martin. But will the Aston Martin be able to close the gap? Are the dries quick? Oh yes, they are. That gap is closing quick as we see a couple of cars battling. Some people have chosen the hards to go to the end. Some people have chosen the mediums. Very few though. Only three. Joe, the Williams, and also Wolfhawk. Wolfhawk, of course, battling for the lead, taking more risks to try and get this win into the Aston Martin camp. And right now, it looks to be working. Will Cody Ghosts Jr. be able to do anything purple once again? Sector 2. Will the Merc be able to get themselves into the pits and out again in time? I don't think it's going to be the case. 16 seconds, a big mountain to climb for the Mercedes mechanics. Will they be able to do it in quick enough time? We'll see here. I think I saw hards going on the Mercedes there, and it is hards. Kept in the pit lane for a bit long on our screen, but he will be coming out now. Will it be close between these two? Wolfhawk coming into the first corner. The Mercedes will be leaving the pit lane now through the first corner. Will the Aston Martin get through? It's going to be very close between these two leading up to the hill. The Aston Martin just gets the lead, but Codded Ghost Jr. was quick in the dry, a lot quicker than the Aston Martin, and this could swing back round by the end of this race. Mediums on the Aston Martin, big risks being taken by Wolfhawk to try and get this race win on the softer compound. Will the mediums be able to make it to the end, or hard's the way to go? Everyone now under dry tyres. Fred makes his way past Jake. Don't know if that was a tactical swap or I think DRS was just in the favour of the Aston Martin there and had greater straight line speed. Rambo is going to be kicking himself here through that phase. He's fallen to P7. Echo makes his way past. Pace not quite there. But Panda, oh, contact! Big contact. Panda turns in on the Williams. The Williams not quite there to deserve the space. Unsure. Panda maybe seems to think that it was his own fault. I don't know if they caught together halfway through the corner. I wasn't quite on board with the Williams. The Williams might have been more than alongside enough to deserve lead, and Panda just got caught, but we'll see. But big unfortunate circumstances for Panda there, who could have been on for a very, very good result, climbing from the back of the grid. Going to be a lot more challenging now from P10. Not even halfway through. Deary me. As Panda now finally makes the move on Tom. Try to settle down behind the ripple, maybe try and use the slipstream to try and catch the cars ahead. As we see Wolfhawk solidifying his lead, not quite being caught up as we have yellow flags because of a spin once again from Joe on the medium tyres. Gets back going once again. No more retirements since Monumental went out early on in this race. Only intermediate tyres. Everyone's still surviving, which is quite surprising in a wet race. Pushing hard now up the hill. Will Jake be able to do anything back? As we see yellow flags, that's now for Tauri and Maurice gets spun back around. We're going to look back at Jake now. He's going to be making a move perhaps into the calm. Rambo will. Instead of Jake doesn't make the move, is not close enough to the Aston Martin, but Echo is overtaken by the teammate of Jake, HRL Rambo, who tries to make his redemption now on the dries. Cody Ghost, 3-second time penalty, slowly but surely the Merc driver, his day is slowly coming to a screeching halt, his win clawed from his claws by the claws of a wolf hawk. As Pac-Man also gets the 3-second penalty. Now on the dries, speeds have increased. Maybe the danger of the penalties as well. A lot more warnings being dished out with these guys trying to push as hard as they can to try and overtake each other as quickly as possible. The RS may assist Jake now a lot closer to the Aston Martin coming through this section. Going to follow these two onto the back straight and then follow the two behind because they're about the same distance from each other. 8 to 9 tenths, breaking down into the bus stop chicane. Just seeing Alpine up ahead. Is that going to be close enough for Fred to get the DRS? I don't think it will be. It's a 1 minute 6 or 1 minute or 1 second, 1.6 second gap between those two. So not quite. DRS was to see Tom get a penalty as well. Another penalty. That's 6 guys now with a penalty. Big amount of numbers for penalties around this track. Quite a lot of guys. Of course, I get quite a lot of penalties as well, as we see big crash, no front wing on the Alfa Romeo. Monkey won't be happy with that whatsoever. 2 seconds. Now, away from Pac-Man, will have to pit again. Settle down now, not much happening in the top 10. Only 2 guys in the top 10 right now with time penalties. As we see a bit of an issue there from Jake, is that I seem to see first gear on the Ferrari. Seems to be back in. Doesn't seem to be quite on the pace as you see a few more cars coming into the pit lane on for mediums. As you see Timez coming out right next to the Haas. That's going to be a battle that will lead down the straight. We've not quite got any other battles on the track. I think the Haas has got the better off than Red Bull. Unless the RS can bring the Red Bull back into this now. Going to see, will he be able to catch down the shrink? Not quite using the ERS, but the Haas had an adventurous look to the right hand side. The Red Bull thinks better of it, thinks I like my front wing. I'm going to look after this one. Don't want it to end up at the side of the road like my last one. And he thinks better of that move, moving further up the field. Once again, everyone really spaced out, not much going on other than the Alfa Romeo trying to push past this Mercedes. 4 tenths between them, ERS being used now, a lot of ERS on board that Alfa Romeo. Definitely not as much on the Mercedes. It's going to be a very close battle up the hill. As we see another 3 second time penalty for a Williams driver. As we've got yellow flags. Where, may I ask? It's a yellow flag for Timez. Lots of time lost, slowly eking out that final sector. Unfortunate for them. Will the Alfa Romeo able to make a move? No. No moves there for that car. Currently just relaxing, waiting to see if anyone else will make a move. It's a very boring race at this point. Everything really stalls out. Not much going on around the track. Not much really to talk about. Just trying to see if anyone feels like making a move, trying to gain. Let's look at the gaps. Three tenths now between the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes. Will a move be able to be made? Gaining quite a lot now in the final sector, and there's a crash, and that is an Alpha Tauri off on the inside. That's a wheel lost. Safety car deployed. The race resets. Everyone will be brought closer together, and I will be woken up. moves will have to grab past the broken down AlphaTauri. No wheel on that car on the inside. Unfortunate end for their race. Shakes everything up. P5, P6, P7 all pit. Safety car did not pick up the leader. So the guys from P1 to P5 can still bring their car into the pit lane and not lose any time this lap around. Gonna be here for a while. Wait, please guys to get around the track. We see more cars pulling into the pit lane now. Pac-Man, Tag, all wanting to try and get rid of their tyres for fresher sets. Still no softs being seen. Wouldn't expect it at this point in the race. Medium's probably the best way to go from here. Should see a lot of cars coming into the pits for those medium tyres. Maybe another set of mediums for Wolfhawk, depending on the tyre selection that they've gone for. Into the final chicane. Will it be a pit lane for the Aston Martin? Will the Mercedes Petronas car follow? No. Clouded Ghosts prefers the lead to a fresh set of medium tyres. Everyone else, they disagree completely. Will Panda now be able to inherit a very good position? Very good pace from these guys all day. Will they pit as well? Into the pits comes Panda as well. But a pit stop from the Red Bull believes that they'll be better off. P6 from the Ferrari. Will the Ferrari be able to jump the other cars? I highly doubt it. They seem to be very much through the pit lane, but we'll see. We'll see if the Ferrari can make a move on Fred. Seems to have got out of there. A-OK ahead of the Ferrari. So we're all good on that front. Panda will return to the track in P10. A lot of ground to make up. Fresh mediums though should be good for the Red Bull driver. There is your order for the restart. Cody Ghosts returns to the lead, but 5 lap old hards would definitely be at a deficit to the fresh mediums that line the cars behind. Only the Mercedes and Tom will line up on old hards. Every other car will be lining up with fresh mediums. So it'll be difficult for those 3 cars to try and defend their positions. Obviously, doing this to gain some track position with the safety car period, gain a pit stop perhaps on the other guys, but the other guys are going to pit stop on them and now have fresh tyres to the end instead of old hards. Old hards are not what you want to be on if you're battling for some good points. Will the safety car be in this lap? No, highly doubt it. A lot of cars not caught up yet. Probably going to be next lap. We see the safety car return to the pit lane and then we'll be back on the racing for lap 15. I'd love it if Williams win this race. That's who I'm rooting for. It's 3-second time penalty for the Alfa Romeo of XR Monkey. That's not good. It's not what you want. It's not what Santa ordered. I'm not sure he really orders anything. He more just gets his slaves to make it for him. His elves. Are they elves? They are elves, aren't they? Slave elves. Are these slaves or did they get paid? Or is it just their culture? Is it just something they like to do? And Santa doesn't really force them. They just force it upon Santa. As we see, the Mercedes spinning. That's going to be a position for Panda. Panda has every right to. I mean, Mercedes spun. And that's a position changed here on the safety car. What a absurd circumstance. As Panda No, Panda gets a 5-second penalty for the circumstance. Unsure if he'll pit again. As long as his race goes to plan, he probably won't, and he'll probably try and get that removed. So we could see that get removed from Panda, so that shouldn't be a worry. Cars slowly now trying to catch up. As Joe seems to be wanting to unlap himself, but he can't quite do it. And he's probably really annoyed by the fact. He probably wishes that Coded Ghosts was just a nice person, moved off the track, all 4 wheels, so that Joe can get past without getting a penalty. The safety car will then allow Joe to go past because he's a lap down, and then no one gets a penalty and Coded Ghosts keeps P1 because Wolfhawk is a good enough person to. And then there's the situations all dealt with, and we don't need a circumstance where Joe causes an accident. Well, that's not going to happen, is it? Because people are so stupid. Come on, guys. If you're going to league race, at least know league race etiquette. Come on. I just don't want to see an accident on this restart. But chaos is what we love. So we will see chaos. All cars now merged into the field. Joe has accepted that he's not going to get an opportunity to unlap himself. His race is practically over. But the guys from P1 to P17 will be looking to try and make their name here in HRL Tier 1, Round 2. Here we go. Safety car in this lap. That man, Coded Ghost Jr., will be leading the way ahead of Joe. But Joe is not on the leading lap. Wolfhawk will be the man behind, trying to challenge the Mercedes on old hards. It was a tactical game, a strategical game played by the Mercedes to place him into P1. Will he be able to defend from the Aston Martin, who's got a blockade before him? The Alpine looks to be quite jittery on my screen. Unsure if the same on their end. Will the Alpine behind be able to put up anything of a battle with a teammate? Well, Aston Martin has their own. Fred lies behind with Jake, a man who's definitely not scared of making a move or two. Tom slowly climbed their way along with Echo up to P6 and 7. Rambo will now look to also try and reinstate himself. It's go, it's green for Belgium. Wolfhawk on the attack. The Alpine of Joe looking to be quite speedy into that first corner. Ghosted nonetheless. He unlaps himself automatically. Looking further through the field. Not much going on between much cars. Panda trying to make his way. Defenders moved from the Mercedes. Isn't quite able to. Gets a run up the hill. Off the track. Side by side with the Mercedes. This is a beautiful move down the straight. Will he be able to keep this into Le Combe? Will the Mercedes be able to outdrive him down the straight? Better straight line speed from the Mercedes. Will it be contact? Panda puts his wing up the inside. The Mercedes leave room because Monkey and Timmer's also battling further back. But this battle is right on the edge. The Mercedes still defending for the Red Bull, who dies up the inside. Very close to wheel. But the Mercedes has to relinquish the position. Panda very would Rambo spun. Rambo was spun on the inside. Just got caught on the curb, which pushes the Red Bull of Panda up another position into P8. Rambo down to P16. Not the time in the race when you want to be spinning. Right where you want to make up your positions, right at the end, just after a safety car, just when you don't want to throw the race away. The last chance is out the window for Rambo unless there's another safety car. Rambo doesn't look like he'll be on for much points, as we see the Alfa Romeo struggling there with the McLaren just behind, very close wheel to wheel there. The front wing nearly getting caught underneath the Alfa Romeo, but the Ferrari man will be looking on, wishing he was in this battle as the McLaren goes round the outside on the grass on the Alfa Romeo. Pac-Man proving his worth as there's a Red Bull up the inside. Timez completely kamikazes into the side of Pac-Man. Pac-Man's not going to be happy with that one. The Red Bull, absolute catastrophe here. The Red Bull automatically leaves the session after that one in the pit lane. 3 second penalty for Joe. I'm assuming for exceeding track limits, and that is huge. But further at the front, the Aston Martin of Wolfhawk is getting closer, but closer to the back of the Mercedes. Mercedes could not quite use the hard tyres and track position to the strengths, and now it's a defending game. Will the DRS be given to him because of the Alpine? Maybe, as we see more yellow flags. This is now for Romeo, this time with Monkey spinning, front wing off. That's not what the doctor ordered. I think it's the doctor. Is that the saying? Yeah, I remember that being the saying. Tom has lost the position now. Panda once again moves up another place. And now Echo is in the Red Bull driver's sight. This could be a sensational drive from him, and I mean, look how close he is to the leader. It's only a corner or two between Panda and Odd did Ghosts, but he may not soon be the leader, because the Aston Martin of Wolfhawk is looking very close to the Mercedes and into the bus stop. Could there be an overtake? Looking to the inside, not quite, not yet. Patience awaits these drivers. 4 cars, all within practically 2 seconds. It's going to be at the first corner. No, it's not. Little peak from the Aston Martin. The Mercedes is slightly wide. A good drive out of the first corner. Could see the Aston Martin pull aside. It's not going to be yet. We're going to have to wait until after Radion to see these guys side by side. It's going to be the Mercedes leading the race. This is a change for position on the lead. Lap 17 of 22. To the inside goes the Aston Martin of Wolfhawk to the lead for maybe the first time. Didn't see last race. Well, this could be his first win this season in the Aston Martin. Will the Alpine be able to make another move? Codded Ghosts has lost the back end, and that is him off. Airlines is off as well. The Alpine and the Mercedes have made contact. It is now an Aston Martin 1-2. I'm sorry, but something happened in the real world that distracted me from the lead battle, and I was unfortunately not able to commentate on it. I tried to capture it, I think I captured it, but that was huge for this race. Wolfhawk will now be leading Sector 2. There's more chaos. Pac-Man's round. But this is huge, and this plays more into the hands of Panda. Up into P6 now, as we see Airlines throwing away a top 5 position for the Alpine. Not much damage on the Alpine. May be able to recover some time. Rambo still down in P11. Codded Ghosts trying to find his way back to the top. It looks like the Aston Martins have secured the top 2. Jake not quite seeming like he has the pace to challenge them. A lock-up. Big understeer from the Ferrari. Gonna leave him out to drive through turn 1, but will that allow him to have the slipstream up the hill and past the Mercedes through turn 2, 3, 4? Radion out the way, a Rouge out the way. We're going to push hard now up towards Lacombe as we see another car. This time Monkey, as we see Pac-Man also out of this Grand Prix. Losing cars one by one, slowly but surely. The hard tyres on the Mercedes surely are not holding up to what they need to. 2 moves now at the end of the straight, right next to each other. Rambo on the Alfa Romeo and Maurice on Airlines. Will Airlines be able to get the move done on the AlphaTauri, trying to find their way back in the field into P12? The AlphaTauri not happy with this, not wanting to relinquish too soon, so there's a Williams round. The Williams is round in P14. I'm sure the man in the comments who was going on about Williams is probably buzzing right now, as there's only one more Williams in the points, and that is Tom. But that just means Rambo back into the points. P6 still for Panda. Will Panda be able to make any moves? Has my mic done its thing again? Seriously? Here we go, Panda now exiting the chicane. Will he be able to make any moves on the hat ahead? Slowly but surely, as we see a sad sight of Williams into the pit lane this late on. Timmer's no longer in the session. These Aston Martins have concealed the top two. Roddy Ghost is pulling away from Jake, not quite able to make a move. The Haas is going to defend from Panda and try and make a move on the Ferrari to gap the Red Bull, but the Red Bull's having none of it. To the outside, round the outside, it's going to be a beautiful move, just squeezed out of it. Not able to make the move there on the Haas or the Ferrari. Will a podium be on for the Red Bull? Penalty wise, we can have a look. It's 5 seconds, but like I said, it could be removed. So if the Red Bull makes their way past Drake, could be a podium position for the Red Bull driver. 4 laps to do it, 3.5 laps at this point, but a Haas may be taken off of that list quite soon. Round the outside, will it be a move of the ages for Panda? It is. Oh, but loses it. The Haas makes contact to the Red Bull's round. And that is a sorry sight for Panda. The rear tyres are overheating tremendously. Airlines is losing out to Maurice once again, not able to make the way past the AlphaTauri, and Panda now will have to defend from the other Haas. Echo now will have an open road to try and attack Jake, but I don't think that gap is going to be close enough. That's enough battle in front for one day, I think. 3 more laps to go. The leader now, Wolfhog, not stepped a foot wrong. Like I said, could be a very good Aston Martin team player. Fred as well, not showing the 1 lap pace shown in qualifying, more reserved in this race, but he served these Aston Martins well, and they come out of this race with the strongest result if it stays the way it is, but you never know. Not much more going on at the moment. Alfa Romeo in the pit lane will come out shortly. There is a battle going on here between the Williams and the Mercedes. Bit wide there from the Mercedes, not quite the run that they would have wanted, but quite some common sense there from those two. Panda once again, oh, into the wall. Will there be wing damage for the Red Bull? Not quite. Keeps the gap from the Haas behind, keeps the gap to the car in front. Maybe still within close enough range to attack this lap, if not next lap for the Red Bull driver, as the clouds loom strongly once again. Pit rain again. Yeah, looks quite darker than it was just after it stopped raining. Maybe we'll see. Airlines once looks like the only man other than Jake and Wolfhog without a penalty as we see another car around. I think that's a Williams. It is, I guess, for man in the comments, you'll be very happy now. No points, 12th and 13th for Williams. Close battling once again, Panda getting very close to the back of that sister car, Maurice and the AlphaTauri. Will the move be made? Will these two be clean coming up this hill? A lot of clean racing today, not much bad blood between these guys. As we see another car off, think that was in the pit lane. I thought that might have been early on, but unfortunately not. Will Panda make the move on a D-rating? AlphaTauri, Red Bull stays behind, waiting patiently. I think the Red Bulls accepted that airlines without penalty isn't going to be the car that the Red Bull needs to chase. It's just the AlphaTauri. Time can be taken. They can wait to the final lap to make a move. It's more up front. Will Jake be able to stay within the 3 seconds of Ghost? Doesn't look like that is the case. As long as Prodded Ghost keeps the gap he has, he will keep the P3. Rambo just about climbing back up to a good position. May lose out though to airlines on penalties. As we see more collisions further back, from what I can see, or someone at least with issues. I think it was the Williams coming up pit lane. Cody Ghost is getting quite close to Fred here. As we get closer to the end, those mediums are going to be turning off, and I'm sure Fred isn't going to be concentrating as much as we see a big oversteer moment from the Mercedes, and that solidifies that Fred has no pressure. And Fred can bring that home as a 1-2 for Aston Martin. Looks likely here on the final run round. This is the battle that we're all looking at. It's Panda trying to get 2 extra points, up from 2 to 4 points for the Red Bull. Will it happen? Coming up the hill, 50% DRS. That is a whole 35 more than what's in the MG UK of the AlphaTauri. To the outside, beautiful move from Panda, and that will be a beautiful overtake as we see the Alfa Romeo on soft tyres go fastest. Will anyone be able to top that on this lap? Maybe Panda will be going for that after that DRS overtake, staying on the racing line, not lost much time. We could see fastest lap change hands once again, but I think now, with probably our final overtake being made, we should come to the front. A main man Wolf Hawk starting P3 as we see, I think that's rain falling onto the circuit right at the end. I was right about the track getting a little bit more dark a couple of laps to go. Rain begins to fall, but the rain will not be able to stop this man. He's been on a rampage ever since that first pit window. Since the dry tyres came on, he had his intent. He was the first man in the pit lane, and he timed the stop to perfection onto dry tyres, and he'll finish on dries in the Whirring. Wolfhawk wins the Belgian Grand Prix. Just not fastest lap. Beautiful race from him. 1-2 as Fred Parsons comes across the line. Cody Ghost Jr. will keep that P3. Jake in a very solid P4. Ferrari come away as the second best team here in round 2. That can lead to Rambo. Across the line, Airlines just jumps up across Rambo there by 1/10 on the penalty. 5 seconds added to Panda's time. Falls behind Maurice, but that could be removed if the stewards seem Panda's overtake on the Mercedes to be alright. As the Mercedes spun, the Mercedes finished down in P11. No points for them as we see the final 2 cars sneaking around the track. Or 2 cars before the final actual 2 cars are further behind. No more fastest laps attempts. There is no one in that car, and the final dude in the lobby, Exxon Monkey, will come around the final sector, and then we'll get our final results. I will say goodbye here this evening as the rain continues to fall. The Alfa Romeo will come across the line and will be probably classified ahead with Tinnes complete the whole race behind the wheel. Here we go across the line for the Alfa Romeo. P15. Not a good day for Alfa Romeo or Williams. That's round 2 here in Belgium. Tier 1 of HRL. I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all are satisfied. Panda deservedly gets driver of the day up and down the field. Some beautiful overtakes from the Red Bull, especially making up around 10 metres in those first 2 laps. But our winner today, Wolf Hawk, he'll be the man who will be celebrating a beautiful win for the Aston Martin driver. The Aston Martin 1-2 will jump then, I assume, to the leading of the Constructors' Championship, unless there was some heroics last time out. Aston Martin definitely looks strong in this coming season. I hope you all enjoyed this race in Belgium. Lots of penalties, lots of drama. Fastest lap goes to the Alfa Romeo in 13th. Obviously, outside the points will not get the awarded point, but steals it from someone in the top 10. Thank you all for watching. Wolfhawk leads Fred, leads Carded Ghosts. I've been AMS Rambo. Fortunately, Rambo couldn't turn his second place into a win, neither could Carded Ghosts. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and next week we'll be back once again. Same time, same day. Also on Mondays, I'm pretty sure. Is it Mondays? It might be Thursdays. I don't know my dates, but there'll be another race. And that race will be for Tier 2. A little bit slower, guys, but these guys are just as good as the guys we saw today, and I hope to see you all then. Thank you very much for watching. I'll speak to you next time.